This is Mikhail Sergeyevich Gorbachev, man of the birthmark, destroyer of empires, and bringer of Levi's into Russia. But before all that, he was a rising star in the Soviet Communist Party with an idea. Maybe, just maybe, we stop running the USSR like it's 1935. To understand the reason why Gorbachev tried to reform the USSR, we also have to understand what kind of mess old Gorby inherited in 1985. We'll just say if the Soviet Union was a car, it was a rusty Lada held together with duct tape and running on vodka. Leonid Brezhnev, Yuri Andropov, and Konstantin Chernenko, 3 leaders in a row, had aged the USSR faster than milk. The economy was stagnating. Their rival, the USA, had now far surpassed them in almost every way. The military was losing to some mujahideen in Afghanistan, and nobody under 50 had ever seen a tomato in a store before. When Gorbachev came to power in March 1985, people noticed something about him. He was young, for a Communist Party member. He had energy, and he didn't look like a corpse in a suit, unlike Brezhnev in late 1982. He believed socialism could still work, but only if it was way less Soviet. His goal wasn't to destroy the USSR, it was to save it. So, to combat these issues that the Soviet Union had when he came to power in 1985, Gorbachev implemented 2 reforms, or at least attempted to implement them. The first was Perestroika, and the second was Glasnost. First, what is Perestroika? Imagine the Soviet economy as a dying old man. He didn't want to kill the man, he wanted to revitalize him and make him powerful enough to compete with his neighbors. Under Perestroika, Gorbachev tried to decentralize some of the economy, letting state-owned enterprises make their own decisions. Previously, the state controlled every part of a company, from how much to make monthly and how much to pay their workers. This was revolutionary in a country where the only private business was trading blue jeans in an alleyway. Now to the second reform, Glasnost. This was the real shock to the system because Soviet citizens were now able to talk about their kulak grandpas who suddenly went on a trip to Yakutia in the late 1920s to a scenic little camp called the Gulag. People found out about Chernobyl and Stalin's purges, and that maybe, just maybe, the West wasn't trying to nuke Moscow every Tuesday. Artists, filmmakers, and writers finally got the green light to say what they really thought. And the result? Everybody started screaming about the Union's problems, all at once. Imagine a country of 280 million people suddenly discovering TikTok. That's the thing old Gorby did that killed the Union. When you open the floodgates, it's hard to close them again. Like, near irreversible. Glasnost made people hopeful but also angry. Why was there no food? Why did their uncles disappear in 1947? Why was Lithuania poorer than Moscow? And meanwhile, Perestroika was barely working. Bureaucrats sabotaged reforms, factory managers and workers were confused, and almost nobody understood the evolving government or rules. And then, Boris Yeltsin arrived on the scene. Yeltsin was supposed to be Gorbachev's guy in Moscow, but Yeltsin quickly decided that Gorby's reforms weren't happening fast enough. So he stopped helping Gorby. He made speeches, made his own power base. Boris's growing power and influence would soon challenge Gorbachev's entire system. By the end of 1986, Mikhail Gorbachev had utterly thrown open the door to a new Soviet Union. But the reforms weren't happening fast enough, and worse, the people were starting to realize that maybe reform wasn't enough. Maybe the whole system was the problem. In part 2, we'll explore what happens when the USSR meets Pepsi, blue jeans, and the Big Mac.